We go to the phone lines to talk with Dr. Russell Skinner. If you get hangry, there's actually a good reason for it. Now, hangry is when you become touchy and tense, you haven't eaten for a while, and you get just kind of that meanness about you because you're hungry. Many of us do that. Turns out there's a good reason for it. Researchers at the Texas A&M Health Science Center School of Public Health say that the feeling is actually a survival mechanism. And as I said, Dr. Russell Skinner joins us now to talk about that. Good morning.
Good morning.
So it's a survival mechanism to get angry when we're hungry? What's that about?
Well, I think the aspect of the survival mechanism is that we get some sort of discontented feeling that drives us to go search out food. That's probably it in a nutshell on the survival side. The mechanism behind it is that our brains have to have glucose to function correctly. And obviously in between meals, our blood sugar levels fall and we deliver less glucose to the brain. And so that causes release of stress hormones and makes us frustrated and less likely to be able to control signs of anger and control our emotions to the extent that we normally would. And that drives us to go seek out something to eat.
So if you've got that lack of glucose, then it's your brain's way of saying, I feed me, Seymour, basically.
Correct. That's exactly right.
All right. So we hear a lot about glucose, especially when in terms of like diabetes type 1 and 2, where people have difficulty with higher glucose levels and not enough insulin because they're insulin resistant. When it comes to like consuming glucose, does that mean that since our brains like it so much, the more you eat, the better your brain is, or no?
No, absolutely not. Our body is geared to run on glucose as the molecule, and we get that from multiple sources. Obviously, the least healthy would be processed sugars, but we get it from carbohydrates, from fruits, from vegetables, and all of that helps maintain our blood sugar. If we don't burn all that carbohydrate with activity, it is stored, and then in between meals, our body can draw from that stored glucose to help us function. However, drawing from those stored glucose amounts takes a little bit of time for our body to remetabolize and process that. So if we have had a long gap in between meals and our body's trying to get our glucose level, our blood sugar level back to normal, then our brain may have some of these feelings of grumpiness and a little more stress because it's not getting it to the extent that it wants.
I'm glad you mentioned stress right there because stress hormones are going to be reduced when you're feeling like that. So does that mean like letting yourself get hungry to that point is actually bad for you and unhealthy?
Whether it's unhealthy is maybe a bit overstated because it doesn't last that long. We're going to eat. Obviously, it's not healthy if you go days and days on end without eating, but most people aren't likely to do that. So you're talking about a short period of time. The best way to help prevent it, though, is to make sure we're eating regular meals, that those meals have a combination of proteins, carbohydrates, and healthy fats, and that helps maintain an even blood sugar. The more carbohydrates we eat, the more processed sugars we eat, tend to cause this up and down of our blood sugar, where it shoots up, our body secretes insulin to bring it back down to normal, and then it plummets. We've all had that, that post-sugar drop where we ate a lot of sweets or a lot of carbohydrates, and a few hours later,
now we're tired.
As can be, because our blood sugar is now we've burned it or stored it, and it's just dry. So having more protein, a little more protein mixed in with those carbohydrates, minimizing the processed sugar sources for carbohydrates, and some healthy fats helps to regulate those blood sugars a little bit evenly.
Dr. Russell Skinner is an expert on body chemistry, and we're talking about Hangry Management, that hangry feeling when you're angry and you need to eat something. Now, a lot of times, as we mentioned, people just grab for that processed, easy solution, which is like a Snickers bar. Is that a good idea or no?
No, it's really not. I mean, yes, it will correct the symptoms that you're having because
it has peanuts, though. That's glucose. Protein, right?
Oh, absolutely. So it helps, but it's also a big load of fat and a big load of calories. a candy bar, if you're talking about a full-size candy bar, is 500 calories, most of which we don't need. Most of us don't need an extra 500 calories just because our blood sugar is a little low. A much healthier alternative would be a piece of fruit. Combine that with some nuts. So I tell people, a half an apple with some almonds is a really good snack in between meals. The almonds are a good source of healthy fats. They provide some protein. A piece of fruit, an apple, for instance, it has carbohydrate and glucose readily available, and it's not a big meal. You're not getting a lot of calories for that, but it's enough to sustain your blood sugar in between meals.
Now, do you think that if we're eating fruit and we're using, like you said, just use the peanuts, not the rest of the Snickers bar, just have peanuts, a handful of peanuts or some kind of nut, do you think that choosing those healthier options will help us control those emotions?
Yes, because as soon as that blood sugar gets corrected, that feeling of hunger goes away. The hunger is gone. Your brain is now happy because it's gotten some glucose back to it, and your blood sugars come back up to back to more of a normal level, and you're going to feel better, and you're going to feel better usually for the period of time that it takes to get to your next meal. We're all living such a hectic world right now that sometimes getting those regular meals can be difficult. But if we prepare and plan ahead, we can keep, some nuts with us or fruit and things like that. Even granola bars and things that we would say are not necessarily super healthy choices because there could be a lot of sugars and stuff in those too. It doesn't mean we have to eat the whole thing. I'll tell people for a snack, you can get half of a granola bar is probably really all you need to kind of help regulate your blood sugar, get your level back to normal, carry you to your next meal without consuming necessarily the whole extra 300 calories.
Yeah, if only it was that easy. I'm doing a little bit of a crossover here bringing this up because I know you are an expert in this subject as well. When your spouse helps to make you fat or your partner helps to make you fat, because those choices are like all over the house, and even if you're trying not to have them, there's a problem there.
Absolutely. That study actually was out earlier this week looking at spouses over time that their weights tended to trend together. And really probably the cause for that is exactly what you say. It's shared eating habits, shared activity, and even if it's not shared in the sense that we're doing it right there together, it's shared because it's kind of our shared lifestyle. And one partner that tends to not be very health driven or not have very healthy choices and healthy habits, that does tend to influence the spouse. Now, the good news is that although there weren't a lot of couples in the study that showed it this way, but it also works the other way around, which is a spouse that has very healthy habits tended to influence their spouse as well. So in the couples where one did lose weight, the spouse tended to lose weight too. Unfortunately, I guess human nature takes over. That didn't happen as often as the other, where if a spouse gained weight and the other spouse kept up.
But it is good news. I like looking at the bright side of things. Dr. Skinner, thank you so much for coming on this morning with us.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for having me.
All right. You take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.